Hi guys, Warren Williams from WarrenWilliamsCoaching.com. Again, another video. Keep this real quick. I'm going to talk about functional exercise. Well, really, I'm going to talk about the core. So many people that keep talking about the core. What is the core? There's so much confusion with what the core is. You know, so it's like you go to the gym and you see somebody doing what they call core exercise, and seriously, it's like if you even understand what the core is in the first place, it's like some of the exercises that people call core exercises aren't core exercises. Give you an example. You have people that personal trainers, yeah, that they're in the gym and they get you to lay on your back and do sit-ups and say, yeah, we're doing core exercises. But yeah, people were doing the sit-ups 25 years ago and they weren't calling that core exercises because the term core wasn't even a brand name yet. So they're doing the same exercises with the evolution of functional exercise, but still calling the same unfunctional exercise a functional exercise working the core. So it's like, let's first of all define the parameters. When you hear about people talking about core, the core. First of all, what is the core? Now, a lot of people say that the core is the abs. It's the abs, in it. Yeah, that's the core, man. Okay, it's very technical. When you break that down, in detail, what is it called? It's the abs. It's the abs. First of all, the core is everything. Simplest explanation. The core is everything except the arms and legs. So that means the head. Yep, the head. The axial skeleton. Yeah, the skeleton. Spine. Yeah. Basically, when I say axial skeleton, I'm talking about the spine, from the head to the pelvis. The pelvic girdle. The shoulder girdle. The transverse abdominis. The rectus abdominis. The quadratus lumborum. The internal and external obliques. And what makes up part of the rectus abdominis, but deep under the lower abdominal wall. So all of these abdominal muscles, including the head, the shoulders, and the pelvis, are part of the core. The arms and legs are the appendages. So basically, to understand this, the core is the thing that stabilizes. So your arms and legs generate movement by being generated through power from the core. So if you think about it, a car tire, so you have the hub, which is the center of the wheel. Then you have the tire, that goes around. The hub or center spins really fast. The wheel spins around it. The center point of something is the core. It's like, if you go get an apple and you go into the center of the apple, the center is the core. The core is the foundation of the product itself. So when you talk about the core, the arms and legs, if you were to watch someone when they walk, the arms and legs swing around, but the central point, which is the core, is the foundation or the stabilizer from which the arms and legs move. Yeah? So when you work your core, you're not just working your abdominals, you're working everything that needs to be stabilized. So if you were walking, your head needs to be stabilized, because if your head wasn't stabilized, it could just drop to one side while you're walking. And that seems kind of funny, but it's just making a point. The arms and legs are the free movement, and the core is the stability or the foundation for it. So that's just like a real basic summary of what the core is. So if you work in a core, the only time you need support is when you're standing up. So how can you do a core exercise, which is stability of the body, on your back? How does that make sense? Do you need stability when you are laying on your back? Think of it. Think about it, seriously. Do you need stability when you're laying on your back? No, because you're already on the ground. So why do you need to be stable on the ground? So how are sit-ups a core exercise if the core is the foundation of the stability for which the arms and legs move? So now the proper use of core is if you were standing up, as an example, let's say you were on a train. You're standing on a train and the train stops all of a sudden. Everybody gets thrown all over the place, but you're the one that stays stable. That's when you need your core to stabilize you, to protect you from injury, because the body is always trying to protect itself from injury. You're always in a self-preservation state whenever there's any form of danger. So your body is trying to stabilize, yeah? It's supposed to stabilize you from a standing environment. Even in a seated environment, if you're sitting on a chair, you don't need to be stable because you're sitting on the chair. The chair is supported on the ground. You're supported on the chair. You don't need stability. So that example goes to all those people that train on machines in the gym. That's not core training. The machine's bolted to the ground. It's purely safe. There's no self-preservation because there's no instability. So that's not core training either. So if you train on a machine, that's not core training. The only time you really need to be stable is when you're unstable, because then your body has to switch on the nervous system to protect you. If you're walking on ice, you're far more aware, especially if it's really slippery ice, you're far more aware of the fact that you could fall. So your nervous system turns on to protect you from falling. If you're walking on ground, it's solid, and there's no ice involved, you're walking with confidence that, well, I'm stable. If you're walking in the wind and it's a powerful wind, like 60 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, you get kind of blown around. So that's when you need to stabilize. That's when your core switches on to stabilize you. So again, going back to the point, you need stability if you're kneeling on something unstable, such as a Swiss ball, standing on a Swiss ball, standing on the ground, which is movable, or doing something that is generating force on the ground, which makes you movable, such as if someone throws a medicine ball at you and you catch it, it kind of throws you back, you get knocked back. That's when you need stability standing on the ground. When the ground is solid, something has to generate force to make you unstable. So now we're talking about intrinsic or extrinsic forces, depending on how you do it. Like intrinsic is internal forces that generate it. So like if you're doing an exercise like forward ball roll, where you're pushing your arms forward in the Swiss ball, and the further your arms go forward, you're putting more load through the arm into the transverse abdominis. You're getting load accumulated on the spine, and your abdominal wall has to offset it. That's the intrinsic forces. Extrinsic forces is if you're a rugby player and you're running, and someone externally comes from outside and hits you extrinsically, outside force. If you're suffering from an intrinsic or extrinsic force, then you don't need to be stabilized because you're already stable. So if you're going to do any form of functional exercise that involves the core, sit-ups aren't part of the core. Yeah. So next time someone says that to you, that's not core training. Well, I'm talking about basic sit-ups. So it's just trying to get people to understand, from a basic point of view, what the core is. If you want to target the core through functional exercise, you simply do things that make it unstable. Yeah? So things such as using a Swiss ball, bongo board, Indo board, pro fitter, all these sort of exercises help to challenge the nervous system to make you have to right yourself or correct yourself from an injury. That's where you target the core. Simple. Alright, so anyway, check me out on my website. It's warrenwilliamscoaching.com, and hopefully you enjoy this video. Alright, thanks.